Before there was a sky, before there was a sun, before there was even a single grain of sand to stand on, there was only water, dark, endless, and cold, and it had been waiting for a very long time. A god who ate himself each dusk, only to be born again at dawn. A serpent so vast it tried to swallow the sun every single night. A queen who gathered the scattered pieces of her murdered husband and breathed him back to life. And a set of scales deep in the underworld where your heart was weighed against a single feather. These are the gods of ancient Egypt, and there are far more of them than the museum placards ever tell you. Hundreds of names spread across 3,000 years, shifting, merging, rising and falling with the sands. It can feel like a tangle of jackals and falcons and impossible family trees. So we are going to untangle it. By the end of this, you will know exactly where every major god stands, who made whom, who fought whom, and why. So let us go back to the very beginning, back to that dark and silent water. The Egyptians called it Nun. Not a god who did things, but the formless deep that existed before anything else. Infinite, motionless, without shape or edge. Every creation myth in Egypt begins here, floating in this primeval ocean. And then, from that water, a single mound of earth rose, the very first solid ground in existence. Upon it stood the first god, willing himself into being. At Heliopolis they called him Atum, the complete one. Atum was often merged with the sun itself, becoming Atum-Ra, the self-created creator glowing at the dawn of time. And here Egyptian myth does something no other tradition quite dares. Atum creates the next gods alone, from his own body. By his own breath and spittle, he brought forth 2 children, the first divine couple, and with them the world begins to take shape. The first was Shu, god of dry air and sunlight, the wind that fills the empty space between things. The second was Tefnut, goddess of moisture, of rain and dew. Together, air and water, the atmosphere itself. Shu and Tefnut became the second generation, and from their union came 2 more, the pillars of the physical world. Their son was Geb, the earth. His body was the land itself, the soil, the hills, the dark fertile fields. Their daughter was Nut, the sky. Arched overhead, her body scattered with stars, curving from horizon to horizon. Geb and Nut loved each other so completely that they clung together, earth pressed against sky, leaving no room for life. So Shu, their father, stepped between them. He lifted Nut high above and held the sky apart from the earth forever. It is one of Egypt's great images. The air god, arms raised, holding up the star-filled heavens above the reclining land. And in the space he opened, in the gap between earth and sky, there was finally room for everything to come. Now Geb and Nut had 4 children of their own, and these 4 are the heart of the entire story. Osiris the eldest, wise, gentle, destined to be the first king of Egypt and, later, lord of the dead. Isis, his sister and his wife. Goddess of magic and devotion, the cleverest of all the gods. Set, their brother. God of the desert, of storms and disorder, not evil at first, but wild, red, untamed. And Nephthys, the quiet sister, goddess of the edges, of dusk and morning, married to Set. Together with their ancestors, these 9 gods form the Ennead of Heliopolis, the divine family at the center of Egyptian belief. But before their drama unfolds, we have to follow the sun, because in Egypt no god burned brighter than Ra. Ra was the sun in its full noon glory, often falcon-headed, crowned with a blazing solar disk. The Egyptians believed pharaohs were his sons. Kingship itself descended from Ra, the light that made all life possible. But the sun does not simply vanish at night. To the Egyptians, it went somewhere. It went on a journey. Each evening Ra boarded a great boat, the solar barque, and sailed down into the underworld, into the land of the dead. And that nightly voyage was not peaceful. In the darkness below, an ancient enemy was always waiting for him. Apep, or Apophis, a colossal serpent of pure chaos, coiled in the black waters, hungry to devour the light. Every night, Apep struck at the barque, trying to swallow the sun and plunge creation back into endless dark. And every night, the gods aboard the boat fought him off. Spears, knives, and coils cut apart in the gloom. When dawn broke, it meant Ra had won again. The sunrise was not a given, it was a victory earned nightly. This is the Egyptian heartbeat. Order against chaos, light against the serpent, played out with every single sunrise. Now, Ra ruled the south and the Old Kingdom. But in the city of Thebes, another god was rising. His name was Amun, and his name itself meant the Hidden One, the unseen power moving behind all things. Amun was mysterious, invisible, present in the wind you feel but cannot see, a god of the concealed and the deep. As Thebes grew powerful, priests did something typically Egyptian. They fused two gods into one, greater than either. Amun the Hidden, joined with Ra the visible sun, became Amun-Ra, the supreme god of the new kingdom, both seen and unseen. For centuries, Amun-Ra towered above the Pantheon, his temples at Karnak among the largest ever built by human hands. But then one pharaoh tried to erase them all the gods, all at once. His name was Akhenaten. He declared that only one god was real, not Amun, not Ra, but the Aten, the visible disk of the sun itself. The Aten was worshipped not as a person, but as pure light, its rays reaching down like hands to touch the earth. Akhenaten closed the old temples, struck out the old names, and built a new capital in the empty desert. It was one of history's first experiments in worshipping a single god, and it did not survive its own creator. When Akhenaten died, Egypt exhaled and turned back. His city was abandoned, and the old gods came flooding home. His son would become famous for restoring them. You know him as Tutankhamun, the boy who brought the gods back. So the Pantheon endured. And now we return to that family of four, and to the most powerful story Egypt ever told. Osiris ruled Egypt as its first great king. He taught people farming, law, and worship, and the land flourished under him. But his brother Set watched from the shadows, and in his heart grew a bitter, burning envy of the king. Set devised a trap. He built a beautiful chest, made exactly to Osiris's measurements, and offered it at a feast. Whoever fit the chest perfectly could keep it. And when Osiris lay down inside, Set slammed it shut and sealed him in. He cast the chest into the Nile, and the river carried the trapped king far away. Egypt's first king was gone. And here Isis steps forward. Grief-stricken but unbroken, she set out to find her lost husband wherever the water had taken him. She searched across the world and found the chest at last, lodged inside a great tree in a foreign land. But Set was not finished. He found the body, and in his rage he scattered its pieces across all of Egypt. The symbol here is loss made total. a king torn from his kingdom, dispersed to the far corners of the land. And so Isis began again. Piece by piece, she gathered what was scattered, traveling the length of the Nile to recover him. Her sister Nephthys, though married to Set, joined her in mourning. The two goddesses became the eternal protectors of the dead. With the help of Thoth and Anubis, Isis bound the pieces together, wrapping her husband, the very first mummy. Then, with powerful magic, she breathed life back into him, just long enough for one final act. From that brief return, Isis conceived a son, a hidden heir, a child who would one day reclaim the stolen throne. But Osiris could not stay among the living. Transformed, he descended to become king of a new realm, the world of the dead. Green-skinned, wrapped in white, crowned and holding the crook and flail, Osiris now ruled the afterlife and judged every soul. Meanwhile, Isis hid in the marshes, raising her son in secret, shielding him from Set, who still hunted the true heir. That son was Horus. The falcon god, sky and kingship joined in one, born to avenge his father and take back the crown. When Horus came of age, he stood before the assembled gods and challenged Set for the throne of Egypt. What followed the Egyptians called the contendings, not one battle, but a long, strange dispute of trials, tricks, and judgments. Set was strong and cunning, and Horus was young. Their struggle raged across the sky, the river, and the halls of the gods. In one clash, Horus lost an eye. It was healed and made whole again, becoming the Eye of Horus, a symbol of protection. You have seen that eye 1,000 times, painted on tombs and worn as amulets. It began in this fight for a father's throne. At last the gods ruled in favor of Horus. The rightful heir won, and order was restored to the living world. Set was not destroyed. He was sent to the desert and the storms, and even to the solar barque, to fight the serpent Apep. For chaos, the Egyptians understood, is not simply evil to be erased. Contained and aimed, even chaos has its purpose. Only in later ages, under foreign rule, was Set truly demonized, turned into a figure of pure villainy he was never meant to be. So Horus ruled the living as pharaoh, and Osiris ruled the dead below, and between those worlds stood the guide, Anubis, the jackal-headed god, black as the fertile Nile mud, watcher of the tomb and master of embalming. And here is where the movies get him wrong. Anubis is not a grim god of death, nor a demon of destruction. He is the careful, tender protector of the dead, the one who prepares the body and guides the soul safely through the dark. It was Anubis who invented mummification on the body of Osiris himself. Every embalmer after worked in his shadow. And it was Anubis who led each soul to the most important moment of all, the judgment, the weighing of the heart. Deep in the Hall of Two Truths stood a great golden scale, and presiding over it, the quiet goddess Ma'at. Ma'at was truth, balance, and cosmic order itself, personified. Her emblem was a single, perfect ostrich feather. On one side of the scale, the feather of Ma'at. On the other, the heart of the person who had died. The Egyptians believed the heart, not the brain, held the record of your entire life. Every deed, kind or cruel. If your heart was light as the feather, balanced and true, you passed on into the eternal fields of Osiris. Watching over the scale, the ibis-headed god Thoth recorded the verdict. God of wisdom, writing, and the moon. Thoth was the great scribe of the gods, inventor of writing, keeper of knowledge, mediator in every divine dispute. But if your heart was heavy with wrongdoing, tipping the scale, a third creature was waiting beneath it. Ammit, the devourer, part crocodile, part lion, part hippopotamus, crouched by the scale, ready to consume the unworthy heart. To be eaten by Ammit was the true Egyptian death, not an afterlife of torment, but simply to cease forever. Beyond this solemn court, Egypt overflowed with gods for every part of life. Let us meet the great ones who remain. Hathor, goddess of love, music, joy, and motherhood, often a gentle cow, crowned with the sun between her horns. Yet Hathor had a fierce shadow. When Ra sent his eye to punish humanity, she became Sekhmet, the lioness of war. Sekhmet was fury itself, goddess of plague and battle, whose breath was the desert wind, whose wrath nearly destroyed mankind. Her gentler cousin was Bastet, the cat goddess, protector of home and children, of warmth, fertility, and the hearth. In the waters lurked Sobek, the crocodile god, fearsome, powerful, lord of the Nile's strength and its unpredictable dangers. In Memphis they revered Ptah, the craftsman creator, who was said to have made the world by simply thinking and speaking it. And at Elephantine stood Khnum, the ram-headed god, who shaped each human child from clay upon his potter's wheel. Around every home clustered smaller beloved gods, Bes, the dwarf god, ugly and grinning, who guarded mothers and frightened off evil. And Tawert, the pregnant hippopotamus goddess, fierce protector of women in childbirth, standing watch over every new life. Two goddesses even crowned the pharaoh himself, Wadjet the cobra of the north, and Nekhbet the vulture of the south. Together they were the two ladies, coiled and winged upon the king's brow, guarding the union of the whole land. So look at what we have built. From the dark waters of Nun, a single mound. From the mound, a self-made god. From him, air and moisture, then earth and sky, then the four who gave us the greatest of all myths. A sun that fights a serpent each night. A hidden god of Thebes. A king murdered, gathered, and reborn as lord of the dead. A falcon who won back his father's throne. A jackal who guards the tomb. A feather that weighs the human heart. This was the world of the Egyptians, not a chaos of animal heads, but one vast connected family holding order against the dark.